Hey everyone, welcome back to the Walk to Wealth podcast. If you're tuning in on YouTube or any of the podcast directories, make sure to do yourself one teeny tiny little favor and make sure to give us a follow because I don't want you to miss out on any of the amazing guests I got cooking up this year. So without further ado, let's get right into this one. The guy we have on today, I had the pleasure of meeting him last summer. I got into running. For those of you who have been keeping up with the podcast, I ran one day in June. And I was like, you know what? I ran 2 miles. I felt horrible. I was like, I'm an athlete. I should be able to do this pretty easy. I started running a little bit. And like 2-3 weeks later, I heard of this run club thing. And we're going to talk about it later. But I heard about it. Turns out the guy that we have on today was one of the people who hosted it and founded it. So ended up hitting it off. Real good dude. And so without further ado, Omar, for anyone who hasn't had the pleasure, who hasn't had the opportunity to get to know you, to get to meet you yet, man, tell us your quick elevator pitch. Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for having me on this podcast. And pleasure meeting you and coming to the Run Club. So I'm Omar Fortt, born and raised Stamford, Connecticut. Played football at UConn. Afterwards, tried out with the Jets and Miami Dolphins. Shot up to Canadian Football League. Had a short stint there for a year. Came back and went right into the sales role. But my natural, I guess my passion was for real estate, marketing, and also community.
Yeah.
So in a space where as athletes, your whole identity was kind of revolved around your sport.
Mm-hmm.
Getting out of your sport and not having like a set job or not know exactly what you wanted to do, that was actually something that I struggled with. And I know a lot of athletes struggle with that as well. And so last summer, that's what prompted me to want to start the Run Club. Mm-hmm. It grew to what it is now because of the people who I surround myself with, because of people like you who came to the Run Club and added value to it, yes, but also because of the power of personal branding, digital marketing, and grit. And so,
we'll get into all that too. But take us back in a time machine. Also, you were born in Stamford, Connecticut, born and raised here. I was also born and raised here, so it's dope having another Stamford native here. But take us back in a time machine. What was little Omar like? It's crazy, too. So for anyone that doesn't know, I used to work at K Jewelers, so the OG fans know. And during my time there, I actually helped Omar's dad. I forgot what I helped him buy, or if he bought anything. I helped him with something while I was at K Jewelers. And the only reason I remember, because you guys have a pretty easy to spot last name. And so I think I helped him with something, and then we lost touch. And then next thing you know, I meet you, and it's like, oh, shoot, that's such a small world, bro. It's such a small world. But take us back in time. What was it like growing up? What was your childhood life like here in Stanford? You go to school here? Tell us about it.
Okay. First off, quick side note, happy wife. Happy life. And my dad was definitely in the store for my mom. So
yes,
it's funny that you say that. So little Omar, this dude he was a little bit chubby. He was quiet.
Okay.
I always had my tongue out. My mom always mocks me. I'm like dang. But one thing about that little kid was he was observant, and when he got confidence and got of age, he began to ask questions.
Yeah.
So he was very curious. And I think curiosity is a great stepping stone to elevating your mind and getting from A to B. Because yes, ignorance is bliss, but without knowledge, education is the form of everything that has to do with growth. And without that, without asking questions, you kind of stay stagnant. So, became quiet, observant kid to, start the curious kid, kind of leaned out during that time.
Yeah. When was this? Like middle school, high school, and you start to
elementary school. I had these big rec specs because I kept on breaking my glass, and my mom was like, "I'm not buying you another pair." I was kind of like the class clown in a way, kind of seeking attention. But my brother, he was. Actually, I'll get into him a little bit later. So this is middle school, around that era. I went to St. Luke's in New Canaan, played football throughout elementary school through middle school, and we wanted to go to a place that had heavier, more sports oriented. So we went for high school back to Stanford High. Okay. So 9th grade, Stanford High, stopped playing football, and all the way up to junior year, my brother, who was drafted to the Saints 2014 at this point, he goes, yo, like I know you like basketball and everything, but don't make mom and pops pay for college. And I was like, fuck. All right, so what does this lead to? So you got two options. Either you hammer down in the books and get a scholarship that way, or stick to what you know, which is football. You grew up doing it your whole life, and you can play that and see what comes out of it. So Stanford High, played football my first year there. And during that time, junior year, it's kind of late. You kind of get recruited, freshman, kind of development, sophomore, junior year, you get scholarship. So made some noise, but I just needed more time. So I reclassed back at St. Luke's for another year. What
position you was playing back in high school?
So I was playing outside linebacker, safety, and then receiver.
Okay.
It was pretty fun. That was the good golden days, man. But then, got some scholarships, like West Point, Rutgers, but ended up going to UConn, and then left my early senior year and went straight up there, played 5 years.
That's crazy. So you played at UConn. So for anyone that doesn't know, I also went to UConn. And I don't think we ever got to cross paths when you were there, which is crazy. It's
Isn't that wild?
Small world, bro. We never crossed paths.
That's wild.
I think we were there at the same time. Because what year you graduate UConn?
2021.
Yeah, so we were there the same year because I started 2019.
Okay.
So, we could have probably seen each other and never knew. And now we're here on the podcast.
Exactly.
So talk to us. You ended up reclassing to play football. You started getting some scholarships. What ultimately led to your final decision? Because I know for me, I was decent at football. I wasn't a stud or anything. I had great grades, which I knew was a plus because most good athletes usually, it's either you got the grades or you got the talent. You know what I mean? Most athletes don't have both. I had great grades and great testing scores. I had a pretty decent year. I had a couple D2, D3 scholarships. Nothing crazy. I had one from SUNY Marymount.
Okay.
I had one from, I think it was Western New England.
Nice.
And then a couple other D3 schools, nothing crazy at all, but they couldn't offer money, so I cut my dream short. And I knew for me, I'm not league bound. Some people have dreams, and I had to keep it real for myself. You had to have a certain level of raw athleticism that you can't really coach in order to make it to that highest level.
Yeah.
And being good in high school is one thing, but when everyone's running a 4.4 in college and freaking jumping out the gym and strong, it's you can only go but so far. In high school, you have good football IQ, good instincts. You're not scary.
Exactly.
You can make some noise, but once you get to that next level, and so I said, I knew I was a decent player. I knew I wasn't good enough to take it to the next level, and I was similar to you. I didn't want to make my grandparents pay for college, so I was just I got to figure out where the money's going to be. So I ended up going to UConn for finances. I was
smart.
In-state tuition. I got a good scholarship package.
Yeah.
I still had to come out of pocket with some student loans, but it was nothing crazy, bro.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going to UConn.
Finance
and kind of killed the dream. So that competitor in me, that's why I be trying so hard sometimes. It's bro, it don't ever die. And part of me always wants to think yo, what if? But then even if I did play football, pandemic happened. So even if I did give it a shot, it would have got killed anyways because the pandemic. But sometimes you always look back and you said earlier, a lot of athletes, struggle with identity at times. That part of me kind of never really died down, which is why I just be so quick to jump myself into new things, new activity, new little side quests. Because
exactly,
I just want to see what I'm made of, and I couldn't do it in the thing that I actually want to do. So it's I'm gonna try, and all. Part of the reason why I ran the marathon, part of the reason why I ran my first Spartan race with 2 weeks notice. I'm F it, bro. What can I do?
John, that's the thing. That mindset in you of competitiveness will never go away, and that will set you apart from other people
100%,
because you like pushing yourself naturally. And I like to live with no regrets. So I like to kind of make decisions where sometimes they are the wrong decision in the moment, but sometimes I'm I want to do this, I'm doing it, but at least I know the outcome of it. And I guess I feel if you live with that mindset, you can do anything, and you can kind of push through it with grit. Bro, the sky's the limit.
100%. So take us through the journey a little bit more. So you went to UConn, you started playing there, had a good run, and then you ended up, trying out for some teams, and then ended up going to the CFL.
Yeah.
So what was that journey like post college? what was kind of going through your mind as you were thinking next steps? Because a lot of time that's when you start having like your first life crisis. Like, damn, college about to be over.
Exactly.
What I'm about to do, I'm about to head into the real world.
Right.
So, like, what was going through your head as you was wrapping up college and thinking about playing football at the next level?
Mm-hmm. So first, I definitely should have stayed in college another year. Mm. I was the number 4 leading tackler in the NCAA going into week 3 against Purdue. Week 3 or 4, against Purdue, and I suffered a high ankle sprain, which I still deal with today. It's crazy.
No way.
And at that point, I already reclassed in high school. So I was kind of having FOMO, right? My class, the 2016 class, graduate of high school, they already kind of went out into the world, they graduate school. Then I was like, I don't want to reclass again at UConn because I'm going to have to be here a whole nother year. I just want to get out and like start it. Like I can make it happen. Ended up missing like 5 games. Came back, played on like a hurt ankle, was splitting time. And I was like, whatever, like I'm just going to make this work. So didn't have the best senior season. And then I was kind of like stressed. I'm like, I'm just starting to, everything was so built up potential. And then it just all kind of got killed because of that injury, which is the name of the game. And then, so my agent found one, really nice guy. Shout out to him for even believing me and taking a shot. Went to go train, bulked up crazy. And then I had my testing, the pro day, had some looks. Miami calls me. They're like, hey, what's up? The Jets call me first.
Yeah.
Get my shot with them. It's me and a guy who they drafted free agent, which is after the 7 rounds, you have free agency. And they're like preferred. Basically like a preferred free agent. Yeah. And that was my competition. My same body type and everything. They chose that guy. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, I get another call, agent. Oh, Miami's looking for someone. Go down there, balling. They have I'm not gonna, whatever. They have someone who they drafted from Georgia. The coach, linebacker coach, he has this thing. He like, yo, where you from, man?
Yeah.
And it's just like funny because marketing is huge, right? Based off of where you go to school, kind of that builds up your rep. And balled out there, again, there's a lot of politics, but at the end of the day, it's on myself. Yeah. Didn't win that position, shot right up to Canada. So Vancouver, loved it. BC is beautiful. If you ever get that chance, bro, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you go to BC?
Bro, it's a vibe. Vancouver, it has the city here, and then it has forest, and then you'll see just water. And it's like, where am I?
Yeah.
Everyone's so chill, so calm. The weather is different. No humidity. I know this summer we were dying in the runs. Yeah. Out there, it's like 90 degrees and chilling, not sweating at all. Anywho, the game is a little bit different. Instead of 4 downs, it's 3 downs. It's wild, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a passing league, and I was like a fast. I wasn't a traditional linebacker. I was like a safety linebacker, so I can cover.
Yeah.
I was just crazy. I just came down and hit like a linebacker, but I was kind of sideline to sideline. Got acclimated to that game. Ankle still hurting. And then I heard something where it's like at the end of the season, if they play you, they're going to end up holding your contracts for next year. And I didn't want to be in a situation where I was stuck in a place. Especially there was a league called the XFL with Dwayne Johnson. It's called the UFL now. They combined. And I said, let me go try and take my talents over here. Tried out actually in the summer before I even went over there. Loved me. I feel like I'm gassing myself up.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
not a lot of people can say the same thing, bro. Not a lot of people have that experience, bro. You do the numbers, bro. Not many people make it out of college, right? And from there, not a lot of people go beyond. So
true.
Talk your talk, bro.
So during that tryout, like ran my 40, fast as ever. And
what was the 40 time looking like?
So I thought it was a 4.4.
Yeah.
It was my fast. It was a 4.52. Okay. But at that point, I was 216. And I was just coming off a hamstring pull that I had in the ankle. And bro, like Heinz Ward, like, yo, bro, when you're like that guy at a camp and everyone just start coming near you.
Yeah.
Like,
And anyone listening, I never got that experience. I was always like, all right, he's the good guy.
Nah, never. But hey, look, sometimes good guys finish last because during the draft, I didn't get picked at all. And I was like, and I felt so
it makes sense.
Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? Like, they turned their back on me. I'm tired of people kind of having the decision and I guess power over my future.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? Let me go create my own future. And so that's when I went straight into a sales job.
That's what's up, bro. So all these opportunities bounce around, and then you finally like kind of entered the real world, like for real. After that opportunity kind of fizzled out a little bit, and you kind of pivoted. So you took us to the sales position, and in there, for anyone that doesn't really know, like when it comes to sales, like a lot of what you make, if not everything that you make, depending on where you're working at, is determined by how much work you're willing to put in and the right work that you're willing to put in. Because anyone could easily work hard, and then if you do the wrong things and you're working hard, you're going to go to the wrong place regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was sales, but it has a lot of like, what's our earning potential? There we go. Depending on where you're at and how hard you're willing to work, and if you're willing to do the things that it takes to succeed.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, so you got into sales. I know for me, when it came to getting my first job, so my first job was working at a restaurant.
Okay.
And so it was kind of weird because like
customer service,
it was weird because like before that, in high school, I didn't have any job experience. I was playing football, I did track, I did basketball a little bit, and so like when I was playing the game.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really worried about that. But then I got to college, I had a little. So I worked at you know what's really crazy?
What's crazy?
I worked as a dishwasher at the freaking at the what's it called? What's the spot that you guys went to for breakfast and dinner? No.
Breakfast and dinner with the Run Club?
No, not with the Run Club at UConn. It was for athletes. The dining hall for athletes.
Like South or
it wasn't
McMahon?
South. It wasn't McMahon. There was one by it was by Putnam a little bit.
By Putnam?
Yeah.
I mean, we got the Burton facility. I don't know.
There was a dining hall by Putnam.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly.
But made for the athletes.
Yeah.
And so like
I know exactly. I don't know the name, but I know it looks futuristic.
A little bit, yeah.
Kind of inside.
And so
like Zoe 101 type.
Yeah. And so I worked there. I got fired. So that's a story for another day.
Bye.
Story for another day. It's not crazy, but like pretty much I overslept, and like I went to work the next time. They didn't say nothing. The following week, I was supposed to clock in, and they sent me an email like, "Yo, you don't gotta worry about coming in." And so yeah, that's a funny story. But
that's tough.
So but yeah, so when I got my first job, it was weird because like I never really knew a job. I caddied too in high school a little bit, so never had an actual job. So what was that like transitioning into the real world after playing sports for so long?
So I guess I set it up a little bit different because like my parents always instilled in me like there's always life after football, and I've seen my brother go get drafted and have a life after football too. Like you kind of have to go into the regular job force. And also, let me just say this, like my whole goal for getting to the NFL was to have a brand behind me. Yeah. Right. So I wanted to say like.
So you always had marketing in your mind?
Always. Hey, I'm Omar Fortt from New York Giants. I just got a nice brand. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it didn't happen. But again, that was like always my overarching goal. Yeah. And so during the summers and winters, we only had about 1 or 2 months off throughout the year. Yeah. And I would work internships. So I would be, my first internship was up in Boston. Shout out to my guy, Coach Tommy Duma. His mom owned a real estate company.
No way.
Boston Real Estate Advisors for 2 years, 1 month, because that's all I have off in the winter. I did a residential real estate internship. And then I came back down here, did a marketing internship. And then for my last year, I did an internship in New York working at a commercial real estate investment trust. Yeah. So that was crazy because usually you have training up there. Everyone's working their butt off. I was here back at home, not with the team. I had my brother working me out. My boy Carrington, shout out to you, Carrington Overdrive, New Canaan. He came in clutch. so I worked with my brother, Carrington, and did the internship. And bro, like I was like, that was the first time in my life where I was like, bro, I have no life.
Yeah, you were just locked in.
Locked in. As soon as I got home, had to do a little bit more work, taking the, the metro. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. And so coming out, I never had a full-time job.
Yeah.
But I always understood what the workforce was. Now, I did want the lifestyle of a salesperson because you kind of get to work your own hours.
Yeah, do what you want when you want, and it's determined by you.
Exactly, how hard you work. And that's the same thing that I kind of learned through football, right? Like you can go to practice and go back to the dorm and play games and you not see the field at all.
Yeah.
Or you can go practice, go work out, study film, eat, work out again, and then you play and you do your classes and you play. So going into the sales job, like you eat what you kill, but also it kind of just relates to football. And so I hope I answered your question.
Yeah,
right?
no, of course, yeah. Nah, that's dope. There's a lot of into the workforce pretty much from football. That's dope. I kind of had the same experience with like, for me, as I was transitioning, I was working at a restaurant job, so I kind of had that same experience where every day was just kind of like Groundhog Day, bro. Because like I'm started working at Sign the Whale.
Wait, what does that mean?
Like pretty much every day was the same day.
Oh, bro.
Yeah, like that movie. I think it's the same, bro. I don't know where it comes from, bro. I heard it somewhere. It sounds smart though. Yeah. Every day was like Groundhog Day, bro. Every day is the same day. So I started working at the restaurant. Our freshman year was 2019 to 2020 at UConn. Mm-hmm. Right, as you know, March 2020, that's when the joint popped off.
Yep.
By May, I was working at the restaurant Sign the Whale because they have rooftop. So technically it was outdoor dining, so it wasn't shut down. Yeah. So I was working there, started working there. Nobody wanted to come back. That's when everyone was on unemployment, getting mad bread. And so I was there working. Then fall 2020, pandemic happened and was still going. I had my classes. And then that spring 2021, that's when I dropped out, signed up for my real estate classes. And then for that February-ish, March-ish of 2021 until like almost like September, it was just like I was working at K Jewelers, studying for a real estate exam. Then I started working again at Sign the Whale because wintertime it got slow, so they dropped me off. Not like fired me, just like, hey, we don't need any extra staff, right? But then it started getting warm again, and started working there again. So I was pushing like 70 hours from K Jewelers and Sign, plus doing my real estate studying. Yeah, and so as I said, like every day, bro, it was just like Groundhog Day. I don't remember much, which kind of sucks. It's like that's the part of your journey that when you do make it in life, like you want to share like those days, like what it was like. But when I generally, there's not much to remember. It was just like work, home, eat, next work, home, shower, brush my teeth, sleep, repeat.
It's but like you grow. Yeah. And you can either maintain that or like stay stagnant, or you can grow out of it, meaning like, okay.
The seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, can you push through that season? Because if you can, like, the bright side is I ended up getting my real estate license. I had a lot of money saved. And had I not had money saved, man, the well dried up a bunch of times throughout this entrepreneurship journey. Had I not had my money saved the way I needed it to be, bro, I would have been forced to freaking stay at my jobs forever. And I thank God now it's about to be 2 years this year that I had no job. It's just straight to business. Yeah. Now, I'm on thin ice right now. Right. Head barely above water. But I'm flowing still. Hey now. I'm flowing still. You feel me? I'm still flowing, right? And so that's the beauty of it. And for me, I never did well with authority. Not that I was a troublemaker. I just always was one to question. You mentioned curiosity when we first started this conversation. I was a deep thinker too. I always spent a lot of time in my own head, and I never understood like why certain things are the way they are. It just didn't add up to me. I was never entrepreneurial though. And then I was. And then I was all in. Right. And so like for me, a decision of dropping out, it was a super quick process. It was like, all right, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad around November, fall 2020, right? That winter break, I got home after finals. I was reading a couple personal finance books, signed up for a real estate wholesaling class, got my LLC file, my logo, my domain name. College started calling up attorneys. One was like, you can't do that in Connecticut. All right, boom. Dream kind of died. Met with a commercial agent. He was like, oh, you got to find a mentor. After the call, emailed him like, hey, you want to be my mentor? Sparked the fire back up, and then signed up for my classes, stopped showing up at my college classes. Yeah. And then
from there, right?
Rest is history for me. And then I started bouncing around from there. But so to kind of get back to you a little bit, so now you're in the sales force. You kind of mentioned a little bit earlier when you were introducing yourself that you started the Run Club. So that's how, for anyone listening, that's how me and Omar met. And it popped off from like 0 people to like 100 people in person running on a Saturday morning, which is like, ain't no one want to get up on Saturday morning. And you got like 100 people out there running, socializing, meeting new people, having a good old time, playing volleyball, playing kickball, doing all this stuff. Crazy. On top of that, the IG went from 0 to like 5K in a couple months, had that joint blowing up all over Stanford. And it's crazy because Stanford has run clubs. And the only reason I found out about the other ones is because yours popped off. Like, I didn't even know there was run clubs going on in Stanford at all. Also, to be fair, I wasn't in running, so that's also probably why. But like, y'all hit the scene jumping. I'm like, all right, boom. And since then, it was like, when it was still warm out, as long as I wasn't traveling for a conference, I was pretty much there every single Saturday. I started doing Thursdays. I was like, I'm there too. So talk to us about what that was like this past, because that was just 2024 for anyone listening. So like June-ish, right, is when it started. So like, what was that like, that journey, like launching it, getting the word out, the first few people, you know, and growing it to where it is now?
So like, appreciate you for,
of course, bro,
for like acknowledging it for what it was and is going to be. So the idea of it stemmed from me lacking purpose. Like 2024, I remember I was getting out of a bad relationship. Not a bad relationship. I was in a bad spot, headspace. I didn't like my job that I was at. I was like, let me transition to something else. And I literally just like lacked purpose. I did not have a gym routine. That was the first time in my life where I was, for someone who was in the gym
all the time,
didn't know how vital being in the gym has for your mental clarity and your like spiritual, like how you feel overall. So your overall health. I saw in Boston a place called Everybody Fights. And George Foreman, you ever heard of him?
Yeah, a heavyweight boxer, right?
Exactly. Yep. His son, he created Everybody Fights, and I was brought there one day, and I was like, "Yo, this is what I want." They had the garage doors open, loud music, you know, young people, young professionals like us getting it boxing, and like some people are killing it, but some people are just throwing. You're like, yo, I just appreciate you for even trying. Like, I'm trying. You're like struggling. And then I was like, you know what? I want to create something like this feeling, this atmosphere.
Back home.
Yeah. And so I went home, and the next week went out Friday night. Bad idea. But I told myself that day, I was like, yo, I'm going to find a run club and I'm going to go to it. So I ended up waking up like, bro, not in the right headspace. Yeah. But I said, you know what? I'm going to go. And I went, and it was a good time. Like, it was nah, I mean, I'm not going to, bro, I appreciate them for who they are, but it just wasn't my vision. And I said, you know what? This is
different. It's something different. Yeah. It's not what you I planned out for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Like this, I like the whole run club idea. This run club, I think, is catered towards a certain group of people. Yeah. And they were like the older generation. So, you know what? Let's create something for us. The young folks. So I said, you know what? Earlier in 2024, I was doing digital marketing on the side. Like I brought a course that taught me how to launch affiliate marketing, how to create engagement, reels that attract, how to build your email list. And although that didn't take off, it kind of correlated to
the next thing.
Exactly. So it's just like what you were saying about the 70-hour weeks. Yeah. Like you take something out of everything. You're like, yo, I don't want this, so let me get my license. Out of that, you can either take it as a positive or a negative. Like, oh, that thing didn't work for me. Digital marketing, like it failed. Like I didn't get traction. Or you can take it as a plus. I gained these knowledgeable skills. I'm going to use this to leverage what I want to bring into fruition for my next thing. So that's what I did. And so I started it with 4 people on the team. I said, yo, post this on your stories. From the run club that I went to the first time, I took content. And then the first reel was like me jogging on the treadmill. And I was like, why work out alone when you can work out with other people? And then it was like,
Oh, yeah.
I made like a good friend. She was probably like 50, 60 years. She was so sweet. And I was like, yo, do you mind if I post this? She was like, nah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So that was the first post. I had people post on their story like, hey, look, if I start a run club, would you guys want to join? 40 likes on my end, my boys, like 20 or whatever, how many.
Yeah.
So, all right, we got some traction. So let's build up. Let's tease it a little.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you launch something, you just can't be like, I got a product. You gotta be like, this is what it is. This is who it's for. Week 1 of me building it. Week 2, blah, blah, blah. This is the date. 10 days left. 5 days, 2 days.
I make it a whole scene, bro.
Yeah.
And I make it a whole event. It's not just, hey, here's by. It's like, so a method to the madness. Yeah.
It's just like, for all you, I mean, getting a man or a woman, like, you can't just be like, I'm it. You got to court the woman. You have to court the man. You have to show them the qualities. Oh, I possess this. I know how to communicate. I know how to provide. I know how to X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So launch day comes and I'm like, yo.
If no one shows up, if no one shows up, man, it's going to be a weird, awkward run.
Exactly. But my mindset, dude, like I already like envisioned so much potential for it and like how big it was going to be. I was like, oh, at least 50 people are going to come.
Mm-hmm.
13 people. And I was like, at first I was like.
And it was free to show up too.
Huh?
It was free to show up.
Free to show up. I'm like, bro, all y'all said y'all wanted to come and then no one showed up. All right. But then I get it though. Like people they don't want to put themselves out there. It's kind of like nerve-wracking to kind of, especially if you're not a runner. And I'm not a runner. So whatever, we had that first run, 13 people. Second run, 26. And then that third run, I said, oh, we got something cooking. So I had my team members. It was me, Ava, John Michael, Marcel at that point. We were like on a roll, like 58 people. I felt the energy. Yeah. We out in Harbor Point, got a big circle, had the music playing in the middle. And I was like, oh, it's up. And then after the runs or during the runs, socializing, taking content, having people send me all your content. After the runs, people were like, yo, let's go out. Let's go here. I'm at home posting 2 reels, 3 reels a day. Like, all this stuff I learned from digital marketing, putting that into place. Like the team members, everyone's kind of putting their ideas in. We wanted to like just provide value to all the runners. And then, at its peak, we hit, I think, 137.
Dang.
And for like Stanford, for its area, I remember I was like comparing ourselves to other run clubs like New York, Chicago, Austin. You got Raw Dog. But like, you got to think the demographic and the amount of people that they have. There's 8 million people in New York.
Yeah.
There's 2.3 million people in Chicago. So of course they're going to have more followers, more people show up. And I was just like, man, competitive. I'm like, this is the run club. So, ended up, having good times. Like created genuine connections and met you. Like, you have your own thing going on. Like, you're popping off. And talk a little bit about your stuff.
I talk about my stuff all the time.
Okay.
But so similar to you, bro. I had that same experience. Like we're launching. Like I realized, like there's a method to the madness, bro.
Yeah.
And so for me, my experience, I read a book called Launch, literally called Launch by Jeff Walker. So definitely a good book to read, bro. But that's what. My launch back in almost a year and a half ago, that's what led me to quitting Sign the Whale. That went really, really well. And then that also gave me enough money in the tank saved up to like be off of my own asset and stay afloat. Right. So it's been a long journey because I've been bouncing around with myself. Right. I got a license as a real estate agent. I started teaching social media. My first class had like 440 people signed up for it. 205 live on a Zoom call. Yeah. And then started teaching social media classes. After a year of that, ended up, like around 6 to 8 months of that, ended up stopped focusing on real estate. I was like, all right, I got motion with the social media classes. Let me start an agency, right? After my first client realized I hated that business model, right? So I scratched that up, but that's what started Stop and Stare Media. And as you've seen in the little photos, I used to have hang time for it. I used to have a bunch of hair. So it came from my old catchphrase, Stop and Stare, just don't touch the hair. Oh, I mean, hate when people touch my hair. But, I had to, hit the little so many times at networking events, man. But that was the old catchphrase. I had it on the shirt too. And so that's what came up with Stop and Stare Media. But also when you create content, you need people to stop the scroll and stare at it. So
correlates perfectly.
Exactly. So it's a 2-in-1 little marketing pun, right? Little bars or little sound.
This dude, but, who is he, Lil Wayne?
And so then I was at a point where, similar to you, I was just like, all right, I had already started the podcast, or about to hit 1 year. This is wrapping up 2022. Like a year into the podcast, real estate didn't work out. My podcast numbers are dropping. The agency thing ain't work out. I'm still working at this restaurant job, and it was starting to slow down because it's wintertime. It started getting cold. And I was just thinking on this like little gray spot where like I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. And then I found this little video, something about Ikigai. And it was like, I started watching those videos and was like, all right, it's a way to find your purpose. And so I started like going through a little exercise. I'm like, yo, everything's pointing back to my podcast. Went on a crazy podcast run. I did like 100 podcast interviews. Like I'm getting interviewed on the show. Mind you, I still have my show going active. So I was either interviewing somebody or getting interviewed every single day.
That's tough.
Pretty much. I did like 103 months. And along the way, I met my mentor. 100 interviews. Like I'm getting interviewed.
103 months.
Yeah. So I was.
Bro, there's only 90 days in 3 months.
I know. There's some days, because I was still doing my own show. That's not including my own show. Some days it would be like back to backs from like freaking 12 to like 7 or something like that, bro.
Grinding.
Just talking.
You need that phase, though.
Just talking, bro. And
more reps.
It got me good at public speaking real quick. And then I met my mentor, and then around 2023, January, when I taught my first AI class, I used ChatGPT to create a webinar on how to use ChatGPT. That popped off. Had like 300 people there live. Like 300 people registered.
Wait, let's pause.
Yeah.
He hit up ChatGPT
to create a class.
To create a class on how to teach ChatGPT.
Yeah. And so that popped off, bro. And all my classes were free, but that was the first time I charged. And so it was a free webinar. Had like a little over 100 people live, 300 registered almost. Sheesh. And then at the end, I was like, hey, I'm doing a workshop on Friday. It's 2 hours. I only have 20 spots. It's $197 a spot.
Yeah.
Sold out in 24 hours. Damn. That's about 3.5 months of me working in sign. Sheesh. And that's when it kind of came together like, oh, I could make something out of this.
Yeah.
And before I was teaching these social media classes, I didn't feel worthy of charging because, like, you feel me? I never sold a house, and I'm teaching realtors. And it's like, no, John, like, they're not coming to you to learn how to sell houses. They're coming to you because you know social media. Eventually, that's pivoted to AI, and that's when I started getting a little bit more confident. It took a little minute, but, like, to feel worthy of charging. Then that ended up helping me launch my first course. Didn't do well at all. But it got me back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Came back around. That second launch did really well. And then that's when I started getting some motion, started speaking in person.
Yeah.
I got my first gig. I spoke in the Bronx at the Hudson Museum at a little real estate conference, maybe like 80 people there. And then that whole 2024 just been kind of like figuring out, doing jobs, doing some one-on-one coaching, selling my courses, kind of building out the community a little bit, at least the infrastructure for it. Yeah. I've just kind of been bouncing around and speaking, traveling, been on TV. My TEDx talk went live literally today, this morning.
Oh, good.
So
I'll support.
So that's kind of a little bit about me. I didn't go into too much detail just because I made like a bunch of episodes on it. You know,
right.
But that's kind of how I just been bouncing around. Been bouncing around, and each thing, as you mentioned earlier in the conversation, it can either be like, okay, this didn't work out, or it can be like, all right, what can I take from here so that it can help boost me in my next endeavor? Yeah. And so everything I was learning, I was just like taking that, adding on to the next thing, taking that, adding to the next thing, to the next thing.
That's so smooth.
And I was just like, I'm just quick to act. Yeah. A lot of people. One thing I learned that football that played out in real life, bro, speed kills, bro. And a lot of times, not the smartest person, not the hardest working person, not even the best person sometimes. A lot of people, times it's just the first person. And so I taught my first ChatGPT class a little over a month when ChatGPT came out, before any of the major media outlets covered it, before anyone started talking about it. I was already in real estate. I already had classes. I was teaching hundreds of people. And so in my particular little pond, I was the first fish to come in there and say AI. Yeah. And so that kind of helped turn into its own business. Yeah. I still, that only took me so far. I still have to get better and grow and learn and improve. But like that kind of carried out a big, a large chunk of it was just being the first person to do it. Speed kills, bro. A lot of people be sitting on the fence, and it's like, I mean, you could, but that's only going to get you so far. The longer, another quote I love is conflict delayed is conflict multiplied. Right. And so like gyms right now. You're going to have challenges regardless. You might as well face them now. It's going to help you get to your answer sooner. And so did real estate work out? One could say, yeah, because it led me to this. One could say no, because I ain't selling the houses, but hey, without it, I wouldn't have gone to the next thing.
Yeah.
And the next thing.
That's so
and
true.
the next thing. So, yeah, so now you guys got the run club, right?
Wait, can I just say something off that too?
Yeah.
And like, for like the people who are going through something right now, and you're wondering, how do you get out? Like, why am I in this cyclical? It just keeps on going round and round. It's just like a hamster wheel. There's a quote that I like, and you kind of reminded me of it. It's nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yep.
Right? And that, what he just said, acting now, like that's what living with no regrets. Just go, do. That's better than trying to be perfect. He just mentioned how like you had courses, then it flopped.
Yeah.
You went back to the drawing board. He did it again, and say if it flopped again, went back to the drawing board, and it worked. And now he's getting, asked to be on podcasts, and like that's the true story. That's what you live life for. Yeah. Not to say I want something and like this you have it, but it's to say I want something, make the conscious choice to go get it, fail at getting it. Yeah. Get up again, try it again, and it can happen 7 more times. But then on that 8th try, you go get it. So if you are someone who is stuck in that, period or mindset of you want more, or you're in a routine that's in lack of abundance, change. All it takes is one decision. And that decision is what he just said, the Ikigai. Look that up. Perfect. It has your passions, what you can get paid for, what you're good at, not what the world needs. What the world needs. Yeah. And that's your Ikigai. Find what that is and attack it. Like, you literally have no other days on this earth. Yeah. But that's tough. And then on the flip side too, to add to your point, also know where you are on the spectrum too, in terms of like, there's a lot of people who are ready aim fire and a lot of people who are ready fire aim. I naturally tend to be, and you as well, what it seems, a ready fire aim type of guy. And if the whole entire world was people like us, things will get done, but it'll look ugly and it'll be completely chaotic. Yeah. But if the world was a whole bunch of people who are ready aim fire and perfect planners, we would have the most beautiful blueprints of everything, but nothing would ever get done. So it's like, you got to know where you lie and find people to complement you, right? If you're someone that's ready aim fire, it's good for getting stuff started, but not good for long-term success and scaling. So like, you got to find people who are more the operators we call them, right? And more, systematized in the way they brain process everything. Yeah. Because they're going to be your rocket fuel to help propel you to that next thing. And if you're someone that's a planner, you need to find someone that just gets stuff done. You tell them what to do and they go out there. So true. A lot of times too, it's not even confidence. It's not even a lot of it. You mentioned earlier, ignorance is bliss. I didn't know what I was signing up for when I got into real estate. I'm like, I seen an opportunity. I'm in. Yep. I'll figure the rest out later. I wasn't trying to figure out all the details. It's like, this is an opportunity. I'm going to do it. Yeah. And so that has benefited me a ton in my journey so far. Yep. But I know in order to get to that next level, I can't just be a sporadic loose cannon. No. Right? I got to be someone that is focused, that is intentional. And this has kind of been a challenge this past year with my business. I've been doing this AI thing for like 2 years now. Yeah. And so now I got to get used to the mundane, because it's the mundane things that get the business really popping off. Exactly. Not the new idea every other week. No. And that's what I was kind of doing all last year and a little bit the year before as well. Yeah. It's just trying these new ideas, trying these new things. But now it's like, all right, I'm sticking with this thing. I made it 2 years now. Now it's like, all right, we got to really start taking off and growing for it, double down and so on. That's what I've been kind of cooking up for me and stuff like that. And then I said, you're about to hit year 2 with the run club now. So now, technically year 2. Yeah, it hasn't been 2 full years, but like it's about to be technically year 2 because 2024 is year 1. And so by the time this drops, this is going to be around May. So like, fill us in, like, where can people find you at, bro? Where can we expect is for anyone that's local or nearby, if they wanted to swing by the run club, where can we find that at? Where can we keep up with more with you and your journey, bro, and what you got cooking up? So like, fill us in. So you can find us at Runners Collective, rnrs.cltv on Instagram. In May. Wow, it's going to drop in May. All right, so I think by that time, I don't know. I just want to see us go crazy. But we got a lot of things planned for this new summer. A lot of wellness stuff, and Yeah, honestly, I just can't wait. But we have a newsletter coming out, or it's already out now. Join 1,000 of Connecticut residents who want to get into health and wellness and want to push themselves and meet other like-minded people.
Mm.
Like, again, I would have never, we went to the same school. We grew up in the same town. I would have probably never, ever met him if there wasn't a community formed together to put us in the same room. In this case, to put us on the same streets. But yeah, it's called the Relay newsletter. It gives you informative like news and trends about athletics, social clubs, but also tips and tricks on how to be a better athlete, be a better communicator, how to win the day as someone who works in corporate, and also just better tips on health and fitness. Yeah. So personally, you can follow me at Omar Fortt on Instagram. I don't really have anything else. Like, no YouTube yet.
Yeah, it's going to be in the description if it is.
Yeah, there we go.
It's going to be in the description. And now it's time for our famous five. Same 5 questions I ask every single guest that hops on. And so question number 1, what is the most impactful lesson you learned in life?
Ooh, that's a great question. The most impactful lesson I think I learned was, well, this has to do with, never mind. I'm not going to say that one. That was for a different type of podcast. Let's say this. The most impactful thing I learned was you really have to keep the main thing the main thing. And that goes in the sense of everyone wants to, it goes back to the Ikigai, right? Like everyone wants to go here, wants to go there, wants to go here and here and here. When you direct your focus off into 6 other things, you kind of don't get anything done. Instead, you just kind of focus on one thing and you kind of aim towards that. And I think the results come when you put your head down and you just lock in.
What is the most admirable trait a person can have?
I was going to say honesty, but also I think people who are fearless and courageous, because people think that when people are courageous, they don't fear, but it's the fact that they do fear and still do it. I find that like to be a superpower in a way, while other people just are like people are on the sidelines. You kind of take action knowing that I could be in danger or I'm exposing myself. I'm putting myself out there. But it's on the other side of that, which is where you will get freedom, I think, and grow as a person.
If you had to change someone's life but only had one book to recommend, which would it be?
The Secret. The Secret is
Nightingale?
No, Rob. I want to say Rob, but it's either Rob or Tom. Honestly, I don't know the name.
The Secret.
The Secret. That one's a manifestation book, and it tells you about how to control your mind. It kind of relates stuff to things that are even in the Bible, how like the power of the tongue. Anything you ask for and believe you shall receive, you will get it. But yeah, that one I love. I kind of read it almost. That's sad. I don't know the author. It's not Bob Proctor, no. Every year, every like. Okay. Every 2 years.
Okay, it's been a while. All right. What is the legacy that you're working on leaving behind?
The legacy I'm working on leaving behind is I am a true believer in personal brands and community. Like I want to help thousands of people build a community, and that's kind of something that I've already doing. Yeah. And on another sense, like growing up, it was always my dream to build a syndication for athletes because I've seen what it's like to be outside of the league and not have anything or have the right person to direct you to plant your money here. So commercial real estate, that's always been my passion, along with marketing. I think I have a great knack for getting people together for a specific cause. And also when someone looks at me and they're like, oh, he's been through the same stuff, I can trust him. So that's the legacy.
And final question, for anyone that wants to embark on their walk to wealth today, what would be the first step you recommend they take?
Who wants to embark on their walk to wealth?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. For me, I would want to say, like, come up with a plan. But first, before even that, I think it's vital for you to control here. Because you don't see it with your eyes. Like, you see it up here first.
Yeah.
And once you have that vision in your mind, like, same thing with Runners Collective. I was like, this, like, it's going to pop off. And you believe it. Literally what I just said in The Secret, you think it, you ask for it, and believe it, you shall receive it. Like, it's so truthful. And so I would say control your mind, understand your weaknesses, kind of get into the mindset of abundance, and yeah, the world is yours.
Amen. I said, you heard it here first. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Omar, thank you so much for being here, my brother.
Of course, my guy.
And that's all for today's episode. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.